18th and 19th centuries, a small community known as Eboe Town existed in the heart of what is now Belize City. The town was established as a residential area for enslaved Africans from the Igbo tribe in Nigeria. At the onset, at least 200 logging camp laborers lived in what is referred to by historians as Negro homes. A map from 1829 suggests that Eboe Town was located within the confines of Albert Street, Berkeley Street, East Canal, and South Street. Ronaldo Kukum is the director at the Institute for Social and Cultural Research.
We are going back to 1829. What was Eboe Town? Eboe Town was an area where the documents indicate enslaved persons had some of their houses. And I said some of their houses because remember the seasonal work of mahogany cutting meant that for majority of the time they were out in the camps. But when they did come home, so we're thinking primarily December, and we know Belizeans make a big fuss about December, making sure you have your dandan, making sure you get the new linoleum for putting in your house. All of that celebration activities in some way or another also took place in these historic times. Eboe Town, however, was destroyed by fire, like many other places in Belize City, in 1819. But the name itself still carried on all the way up to the 1850s, where we're seeing the people referring to the Eboe Town area.
The landscape on which Eboe Town was built was practically swampland. The slaves that resided in the area received the basic necessities for survival. According to Kukum, the slaves of Eboe Town were not permitted to use the amenities along the coast that the slave masters and British settlers utilized, like the cathedral and the cemetery. From this population, however, came what we know today as the Creole people, descendants of British settlers and African slaves who commingled. The Creole culture is strongly influenced by its African heritage. Musa Abdul Shahid is the founder of Drums Not Guns, an organization established to promote the Creole culture through drumming. He has heard many stories of old about Eboe Town.
Eboe Town, 1700s, late 1600s, is a slave town. Right, and our ancestors was the dwellers of this town. But the front page, like I could call it the front page would be in the waterfront. Like all the residential area on the waterfront, the seafront, is where the slave owners and the slave masters would reside. And behind that, what would I call like modern day, like South Side, Blue Street, that George Street area, all of them, the Jump Street. That's where we may stay, yeah, bruh. I believe, in my honest opinion, people will suffer a lot that because they don't know who they are. So right now, the Eboe Town dwellers, modern day Eboe Town dwellers, are suffering as much as they suffered then because they don't know who they are.
A lot has changed since the 1800s. Slavery has been abolished for almost 2 centuries, but majority of the residents remain impoverished. To add to the scourge of poverty, gang warfare and gun violence have taken over the neighborhood. Notwithstanding the socioeconomic challenges, Charlene Williams, the owner of Belizean Sweets and Treats, is also working to keep the Creole culture alive through her small business.
We represent the Creole culture. Our purpose is to preserve it and to promote it through food, drink, and dress. We could start out with seaweed. I've had it from I was young. We actually have 4 flavors, the vanilla, peanuts, raisin, and cashew. These are always available. Our stews, we have 8 stews. Pumpkin, papaya, stew crabble, cashew, golden plum, mango, and the infamous super. So we almost always have these in stock. When we think about Creole, there are 3 things that everybody asks for. Is the stretch me guts. Actually, it's 4. Kasham, kotobrut, and the goat shit.
The what?
Goat shit. I am sorry, there is no other name. I grew up on that name, and I've been doing a lot of research trying to change the name, but you can't call it anything else. It is pretty much what it is. And one of the reasons, because it actually looks like it, but it's a very tasty treat. And little do people know that this is actually fried flour balls.
On July 31st, the government of Belize, in collaboration with the National Creole Council, will be hosting an Eboe Town festival at the Yarborough Green, where handcraft, music, and food will be on display. This is an opportunity to further share the history of Eboe Town with the masses.
In 1888, when a small group of individuals in the town held a parade, and at the start of the parade, they had two men with an axe and with a paddle, symbolizing what we see now in our coat of arms. And they made a procession throughout the town. And they made a stop at the government house, giving thanks, of course, that they are now, their ancestors were freed, but also making a demand. And the demand was, help us to build a people's hall, a learning space for African descendants, to learn about their history. And that's important, and I think that is what the Eboe Town Festival, that is what Emancipation Day as an official public and bank holiday is about.
I'll use two tribes as an example in this country where know who they are and make much use out of it. Our Garifuna people, I have to start with them. I love them too much. They basically honored their ancestry and now they win. The Maya, they honor ancestry and so they win. We could go again. Mestizo, they honor ancestry and it's obviously taught in the schools and that's why they win. The only tribe of people in this country, or only two tribes of people in this country, mainly, that are losing based on not knowing who they are. They think they're winning with their least status, their least money, their least car, and then you're losing. You don't know who you are. You're picking the watch Cocomelan. That don't know who they are. The Creole people.
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.